So let's make a coaster. This is your example. So you start by doing a regular slip knot, and then we're going to chain 6 to make the ring, because everything is worked in the round in this coaster. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Slip stitch to the first chain to form the ring. Chain 1. And now we're going to do 10 single crochets into the center of the ring. And what I like to do is single crochet over the tail, and that way you'll hide it and you don't have to worry about weaving it in at the end. So here's 10 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, oops, ooh, too fast, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then to close the ring, slip stitch to the top of the first single crochet. Now I'm going to flip this over and cut off the tail because I've hid it nicely. We can get rid of it now. Okay, so we've just done round 1, which is just basically setting up the round and getting 10 stitches in place, because there's going to be 10 points to or basically 10 petals at the outer edge. So here's an example of what this coaster looks like if you were to do them in different colors. So just to show you, so here's the 10 single crochets. This is round 1. Now we're going to do this next round 2, which consists of 10 3 double crochet clusters. So these are called clusters, where you're basically working the first part of a double crochet 3 times, and then you close them all together. So it becomes a cluster or a grouping of 3 double crochets together. So let me show you how that's done. There's going to be 10 of those basically. And this is round 2. So now you chain 3 to get to the height of a double crochet, and this is going to count as the first double crochet in the first 3 double crochet cluster. So excuse me, the first one is always a little different because you have this starting chain. So yarn over to start a double crochet, put your hook in the same place that the slip stitch was that you used to close that first round. Yarn over, pull 1 loop through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So that's basically a double crochet without finishing it off. So I'm going to do that again in the same space. Yarn over, put my hook in, yarn over, pull a loop through, yarn over, pull through 2. So I have 2 half completed double crochets, and then this chain 3 counts as the first one. So basically I'm going to close off my 3 double crochet cluster now. So yarn over, pull through all the loops on the hook. And then for this round, they're all separated by chain 2s. So I'm going to chain 2 and now do the next triple double crochet cluster into the next stitch. So I'm going to work 3 double crochets, but not complete them, right? And then join them as a cluster. So yarn over, insert the hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull a loop through, yarn over, pull through 2. That's it. Incomplete double crochet. Do it 2 more times. Yarn over, insert hook, pull the loop through, yarn over, pull through 2. 1 more time, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so now I have 3 double crochets that I have finished, and now all the stitches on the hook, I'm gonna yarn over and go through all of them, and that'll gather the cluster at the top, and I've completed a 3 double crochet cluster. Chain 2, and I'll do it again. So do a partial double crochet, do the second partial double crochet, and do the third one. So there you have 3 half completed double crochets. Now close it all together to make your cluster. Yarn over, pull through all the loops on the hook. There's your cluster, chain 2. So I'll do it one more time. So partial double crochet, partial double crochet, partial double crochet. There's the 3. Yarn over, pull through all, chain 2. So you're going to do that all the way around. And then you're going to have what looks like this second round. So let me skip ahead and show you that. So here I have the ending of round 2. I've done the triple double crochet clusters, and there should be 10 of them, so let's double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And they all have chain 2 spaces in between. And I'm going to finish the round by closing it, slip stitching into the top of the first cluster. So that's going to be right here. And do a slip stitch. And now I'm done with round 2. So here's the colored example. That's round 2. And now we're going to move on to round 3. So I did this in a different color specifically to show you round 3 is a little more complicated or interesting. So these are little clusters of 2 double crochets, basically. But really it's a 4 double crochet cluster, but worked over 2 stitches. So the bottom splits out into 2 worked in there and 2 worked in there, and then it's joined up top. And then we do a chain 3, and then you get 2 worked in the same stitch that you ended the other cluster, and then skip over the chain 2 and 2 into the next cluster over here. And once you have your 4 double crochets, you combine them at the top. So basically these are 4 double crochet clusters, but split out into 2 and 2, worked into different areas so that they make this nice little motif. So I'm going to show you that. This is round 3. Okay, so chain 3. And so this is the first part of a 4 double crochet cluster worked here, and then the second half will be worked there. And again, this is the chain 3, which gets counted as a double crochet. So this very first one is a little different. So do a partial double crochet just like we were doing on that second round. So there's your 1 and 2. Now skip over the chain 2 that's here, and in the next stitch, which was a cluster from round 2, we're going to do the second half, which is 2 partially completed double crochets. So here's 1 and 2. Now do 3 and 4 over here. 3 and 4. And now gather the cluster at the top with a yarn over, pull through everything, and then separate all these with chain 3s. So there's a chain 3. Okay, so that first one was a little different because of the starting around created that chain 3. So now let's do a regular one. So you're going to do the 4 double crochet cluster, but remember the first half is where you just were, and then the second half is after you skip the chain 2 into the next stitch. So here's 1, 2 half completed, and then skip over the chain 2. Here's 3 and 4. Now gather it all to complete the cluster and chain 3. So hopefully you can see how that works. Let me step back a second and show you on the different colored one. So see, this is a 4 double crochet cluster. The first 2 are worked in the stitch you were just using, and then the next 2 are worked after you skip over a chain 2 into the next stitch. So this is the 4 double crochet cluster, but the base part of it is split out to make this look pretty. So there's 1, chain 3 in the middle, here's your second one, chain 3, another one, and it's done all the way around, so you should have 10 sets of these. So let me keep going on the sample we're doing together. Okay, so we just finished one of those clusters. Now I chained 3, and now I'm going to do the next one. So do the first 2 parts of it in the same stitch I was using. So 1, 2. Now skip over the chain 2 space and do the other half, number 3 and 4, double crochet in that next stitch. Now you have your 4, yarn over, pull through all the loops, chain 3. We'll do it again, 2 where you just were in the stitch you had just been using. So the first 2 half completed double crochets, skip over the chain 2 and do 2 in the next stitch. 1, 2. Now you have 5 loops, yarn over, pull through all, that closes up the cluster, chain 3. I'll show you one more time. So first half in the same stitch you were using before, there's 2. Now do the other 2 after you skip over the chain 2 space. Okay, there's your 4, yarn over, pull through all. Okay, chain 3. Okay, so now I'm going to go all the way around, and then I'll show you how to close up this round. So here I'm almost done with this 3rd round. Here's my original chain 3 at the beginning of the round. I just wanted to show you how I finish it off because it's a little bit different. So this is the very last 4 double crochet split cluster. So I had chain 3. So I worked the first 2 parts here. So here's the 1. Oops. Try that again. Here's the 1, and here's the 2. Now I need to work the next 2, and normally I would do it in the same stitch over here, but I've worked enough of these that I know it looks a little neater if I could do it into that slip stitch that closed up that last round. So I'm going to do the 3rd and 4th double crochet of this cluster in there, into this slip stitch. So poke your hook through there. Whoops, I forgot to yarn over. So yarn over first. Now do it. So that's the 3rd half done double crochet, and here's the 4th one. Okay. Yarn over, pull through all to close up your cluster. 1, 2, 3. There's your chain 3 space, and closing off round 3 with a slip stitch to the top of the very first cluster. So right there. Okay, so now you are right here. You've done 3 rounds, and this is what it looks like with the 3 different colors, and here is what it looks like in the 1 color. So now what's left is round 4, which will be these little leaves. So let me show you that next. So right where you left off, we just did the slip stitch on top of the first cluster. We're going to chain 1 and do a single crochet in the same place as that slip stitch. And then in each of these chain 3 spaces, you're going to do half double crochet, 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to make a little picot. So it's chain 2, and then slip stitch, kind of back up, and you're going to slip stitch the top of this last double crochet. So you're going to put your hook in like this, and then do a slip stitch. And then that creates this little nub, which makes it really pretty. So into that same chain 3 space, now you're going to do the other half. So 3 double crochets, 1 half double crochet, and then single crochet into the next top of that 4 double crochet cluster from the last round. Okay, so there you go. There's a little leaf. Okay, so now we got to do that all the way around. So there's going to be 10 of those. So on to the next one. Start with 1 half double crochet, 3 double crochets, 2, 3, and then the chain 2 to make the little picot. Okay, so again, you're going to go back up and into the top part of that last double crochet you worked, just like here, right there. Slip stitch there. Okay, now do the second half. 1, 2, 3 double crochets and 1/2. Oops. And then a single crochet into the next stitch. Okay, so there's 2 of the leaves. Okay, I'll show you one more and then I'll show you how to finish off this round. So 1/2, 3 doubles, the chain 2, slip stitch here to create that little nub, and then the other half, 3 double crochets, a 1/2 double crochet, and a single crochet into the next stitch. Okay, so we're going to do this all the way around, and then I'll show you how to finish this off. Okay, so I've gone around and I've done all 10 of these leaf points. So at the very end, I'm going to join, after I did that last 1/2 double crochet, I'm going to slip stitch to the very first single crochet. And that will complete the round. Cut the yarn, leave a little bit of tail. Yarn over, pull through, and fasten off. And then get your yarn needle so we can hide the loose end. Okay, so on the back side, I flipped it over. I like to find a way to hide this loose end so you can't tell where things started or ended. So I did so many stitches into this chain 3 space for these leaves that's a nice place right in here to bury the loose end. Pull it through. So it's hidden behind one leaf, but I like to keep going and do it through 2 or 3 leaves just to really secure, oops, a little fuzz, the loose end. Just do one more. Okay, pull that through, cut off the extra. And what I'm going to do, I won't show you on the camera, is give this a little flattening with my steam iron. But what I like to do is kind of pull out these leaves, define the shape a little bit. And then I'll take it to my ironing board, give it a quick steaming, and then it'll be nice and shaped like this. So make 2 of those, and then I will show you how to make the little basket that it goes in. So that's next. So now it's time to show you how to crochet the little mini pot. So here's an almost finished example. I did add the little eyes on there. You will start crocheting each mini pot in the round from the bottom. So you make this flat bottom part. So you're crocheting 1, 2, 3, 4 different rounds. And then on the 5th round, you're only going to work on the back loop of each stitch. So you get this nice little transition before you finish up the sides with 5 more rounds. And there's a little bit of increasing at the top that gives it more of this cute pot shape. So let me show you how it's done. So we're going to start with the bottom. So to work in the round so that you don't have a hole in the very center we'll do what's called a magic ring. So this is how I do it. So make sure you got a little bit of tail, and then you wind the yarn around your fingers. And then basically you just have this very simple loop here, and you can use your hook to bring one loop through. And you can see that's basically the same thing you do when you create a slip knot. But instead of pulling everything through, you just leave the loop loosely on your hook like this. And then just make sure everything's held correctly, keeping that loop on your hook. You're going to chain 1. And now you have this ring, which is the start of the magic ring. You have the tail, so make sure your working yarn is the one coming from the ball. And we're going to single crochet 6 times into the ring. So hook in the ring, bring a loop through, yarn over through 2, that's 1 single crochet. 5 more. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that is round 1. Now find the tail, so I kind of pull it out. And here's the magic part of the magic ring, is that you pull until it's closed up tight how you like it. So in order not to have a hole, I want to tell in this pretty tightly, but not so tightly that I break the yarn, although this is a fairly sturdy cotton, so you'll have to see what you're working with. So there is round 1. So now round 2, you're going to start to do some increasing to keep that flat shape. So you need more stitches in order to go all the way around. As you do more rounds, you're going to be increasing at a slower rate, which I'll explain as we go along. So for this round, round 2, you're going to be doing 2 single crochets into each of the 6 single crochets of round 1. So you're going to end up with 12 single crochets. So it's considered an increase in each one. So 2 in each. So starting here, I'm using my hook just to make sure I have space. I'm going to do 2 single crochets into here. Now also in this first round, I like to crochet over the tail. So make sure you've tightened it how you like it. I'm going to crochet over it, so that way I don't have to weave it in later. So I'm going to do 2 each, so I'm going to end up with 12, so I'm going to count as I go. So here's 1, 2, that was all. Both of those were in 1 stitch, okay? 3 and 4 are in the next stitch. Keep going. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, 12. So now I did 1 round, and here's the finish of round 2. And we're not really joining the round, so it's going to be kind of a spiral effect right now. So I crocheted over that tail for all those 12 stitches. So at this point, I like to just cut it off and get it out of my way. So snip it. Okay. So now we're on to round 3. So instead of increasing into every single stitch, you increase into every other stitch. So I'm going to do 1 single crochet in the first stitch, 2 in the next one, and then repeat that all the way around and end up with 18. Since I know I'm going to end up with 18, I like to just count as I go, but of course you can use the stitch marker and mark the beginning or end of your round and track your round that way. So here we go. So that's 1, and then I know 2 and 3 are in the same space because that's an increase into that. Okay, so that's 3. There's 4 by itself. 5 and 6 are an increase, so they're together. 7, 8, 9, 10 is a single, 11, 12 is an increase, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So there are 18 stitches now for round 3. So there's one more round before we start working up the sides. And round 4, instead of increasing in every other, now you're going to increase in every third. So you see you're increasing a little less as the circle gets bigger, because that's just how this stays nice and flat. So for this one, I'll probably mark my first stitch just to help me keep track. Okay, so you're going to do an increase and a regular. So it's kind of in little sets of 4. So first with the increase, so 1, 2, and I'm going to mark 1 just so I don't lose track of where I am. So that's my 1. Okay, so 1, 2 was an increase. 3, 4 were not. They were just 1 stitch per stitch. That's 4. So 5, 6 is an increase. 7 and 8 are single. 9, 10 is an increase. 11, 12 are regular. 13, 14 is an increase. 15, 16 are regular. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. That's my last increase. 23. And then actually on number 24, instead of doing a single crochet, I want to do a slip stitch just because it makes the transition look a little neater. So I'm going to do a slip stitch instead. And that's, I know I'm in good shape because my marker's right there for my beginning of round. Take it out for now. So now that's the bottom. So you see that matches the bottom. And now we need to do the transition row. So we're going to start working up the sides. But this next round is only worked in the back loop. So I'm actually going to chain 1 just to make it look a little neater. And now I got to do 24 stitches only in the back loop. So I can count, or again, you can use a stitch marker. For me, I just like to count it. So back loop only. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. And note that that last one is in the slip stitch because that is your 24th stitch. Okay, so that is the transition round. That's round 5. That was the beginning of the sides. You can see how it turns up. And now you need to do 3 rounds of 24 single crochets. So 3 rounds that are just even. So you can use the stitch marker at this point to mark the beginning or end of each round, whatever your preference is, and do 3 rounds. So I'm going to do that now and show you when I'm done. So now I've done 3 extra rounds of just the 24 stitches. And on this next round, I'm going to increase 2 stitches. So I'm going to do 11 single crochets and then an increase, 11 single crochets and then increase. So I end up with 26. So let's just do that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11, so this one's going to be an increase. So work 2 into there. 1, 2. Now 11 again, 1 for 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and the final one is also an increase. So now I have 26. So I'll do one more last round of 26, and then I'll show you how to fasten off and sew on the end and put the eyes in. So I just finished the last round with 26 single crochets, and I need to cut the yarn and fasten everything off. So this is how I like to do it. So I cut off the yarn, leave about a 6-inch tail so that I can weave it in nicely. And normally I end with 1 chain, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to pull the loop out. Then get my yarn needle. This is a fairly fat one because this yarn is kind of thick. So this is how I like to end it. From the front, I go under the next stitch, the top 2 strands, like you would if you were going to crochet into it. Pull that through. And then I come back into that loop that was on the hook previously, actually that very last stitch, and go like this. Because that to me mimics keeps that chain effect going. So I try to do that when I can so it looks a little nicer. Okay, so then you gotta hide this loose end. So it's a pretty nice tight single crochet, so I usually just find the top row or the row after, below, to use this needle, kind of tunnel in there, go for 1 inch at least, more likely 2 inches generally. Push it through. Okay, trim the end. And then double check that it looks neat. There's the pot. There. So now I want to attach the eyes. And with this, I like to do it on the opposite end of where we left off, just because this side is a little prettier. And under the kind of 2 between the second and third row down from the top, and then about 4 stitches away from each other. 1, 2, 3, 4. About there. And these are 10mm safety eyes, but if you had 8 or 9mm or even bigger, that's kind of up to you. That would be fine. And then these ones just push in like this. Now these are a little bit inexpensive, huge set. I bought on Amazon, so while they are safety eyes, I have found that it's not that hard to pull them out, so I wouldn't necessarily use these reliably for a baby toy, but for this purpose it's just fine. So there's the eyes. And then if you have some embroidery floss, actually I think it helps to double it because it's a little thin. So if you have black yarn, that could work better as well. I'm going to add the mouth. So I tied a little knot just like if I was sewing. And I know, kind of find the midpoint between the, right in here is where the bottom of the mouth will be. So I have the knot, so I'm gonna put this, run through a few stitches to help me secure the knot, make sure it doesn't come through. Okay, and then find, because I'm doing a little V shape, but you can embroider the mouth however you wish. So that looks to me about this, right between the center of the eyeballs. Okay, so that's one side. I'm trying to find this bottom again. Oh, I can feel it catching. Let's see. Just see if that works. I think that works. Okay, so now make sure it's not too tight, and then sometimes I do a little back stitch to help it catch. And then find a place to hide this loose end. I just want to make sure it doesn't show on the front, so that looks good. Pull it through. And if I want to go a little further, just to make sure it's secure. Okay. Like another inch. Okay. Trim. And there you go. That's the pot, the face, all done. So here are 2 coasters. So I'll take the 2 coasters, stagger the leaves a little bit, fold them, kind of tuck in one side, so the bottom goes like this, and plant it. And there's my sweet little succulent.